All right, let's talk pulled pork. We are going to crack the code on how to get perfect, and I mean stress-free pulled pork. Forget all the frustration, we're going to break down exactly what's happening inside your smoker so you can get amazing, consistent results every single time.
Oh man, does this sound familiar? I mean, you've been there, right? We've all been there. You follow the recipe, you plan your entire day around dinner, and then the cook just seems to go on forever. It is easily one of the most common frustrations in barbecue, and today we're going to solve it for good.
You know that feeling. One weekend, the cook goes off without a hitch. The next, it feels like it's fighting you every single step of the way. It can feel so random, so infuriating, but I promise you there is a very predictable reason why this happens.
And this is where it gets super confusing for so many people. You're doing everything you're supposed to do. You've got that smoker temperature locked in at a perfect 225, and then nothing. The internal temperature of the meat just hits a wall and doesn't move for hours. So what is actually going on here?
Okay, first things first, we need to understand our enemy. So let's pull back the curtain on the most infamous part of any long cook, the dreaded stall.
Let's just get this out of the way right now. You can stop blaming your gear. I don't care if you have a simple kettle grill or some fancy $1,000 pellet smoker. The stall is gonna happen. It is not a malfunction.
That's right. The real culprit isn't your smoker, and it's not even your technique. It's a fundamental law of physics, and it's happening right there on your cooking grate.
So here's what's happening in plain English. As that big pork shoulder heats up, it starts releasing moisture. It's basically sweating. And just like when you sweat on a hot day, that process of evaporation actually cools the surface of the meat down. The stall is that point where the heat from your smoker is being perfectly canceled out by the cooling effect of the meat sweating.
In this quote from food scientist Dr. Greg Blonder just nails it. He actually proved this with a brilliant experiment. He smoked a water-soaked sponge right next to a big piece of pure beef fat. Guess what? The sponge stalled for hours, just like a brisket. The fat, which has no moisture to evaporate, it didn't stall at all. It's all about the water.
Okay, so if the problem is basically meat sweat, then how do we stop it? Well, let's talk about our first major strategy, a technique that competition pitmasters have used for years. It's called the Texas crutch. By wrapping that pork shoulder, you're creating a little steam room inside that package. This completely stops the evaporative cooling in its tracks, which allows the internal temp to start climbing again. You're basically switching from a dry cooking environment to a wet one, almost like braising, just to power right through that plateau.
Now, if you decide to wrap, you've got a choice. On the left, you've got aluminum foil. It's a total vapor barrier, traps every bit of steam. This is the fastest way to bust through the stall, but it can make that beautiful, crusty bark you've built a little soft. On the right, you have butcher paper. It's a bit more breathable. It still traps enough moisture to beat the stall, but it lets just enough steam escape to help keep that bark nice and firm. The Texas crutch is a fantastic tool, but what if we could make the whole cook faster and easier from the very beginning? To do that, we have to challenge one of the oldest, most sacred rules in barbecue.
Ah, yes. 225. This number is practically etched in stone in the BBQ world, right? It is the temperature for low and slow. But what if I told you it's also the source of a lot of your headaches? I absolutely love this quote because it just perfectly captures how modern barbecue has evolved. For years, 225 was the undisputed king. But now, experienced pitmasters know there's a much better, much more efficient way.
Welcome to the new low and slow. Seriously, cooking in this higher temperature range is the real secret to a faster, more predictable cook that, and this is the important part, doesn't sacrifice one bit of quality.
And this right here is the fundamental truth. A pork shoulder is a tough, fatty, collagen-rich cut of meat. It's incredibly forgiving. It can absolutely handle these higher temperatures. All those extra hours you spend at 225 degrees, they don't make the pork any more tender. They just make your cook day longer and make that stall feel like an eternity.
Okay, so we've decoded the science, we've busted some old myths. Now, let's put it all together. Let's build a simple, easy-to-follow game plan for your next pulled pork cook. Here it is, your new playbook. Step 1, prep and season your pork just like you always do. Step 2, get that smoker running hotter. Aim for 275 or even a little higher. Step 3, once the bark is set and looks amazing, usually around 165 internal, go ahead and wrap it. Step 4, cook it until it's tender. Forget the exact temperature, just push a probe in, and if it feels like sliding into warm butter, it's done.
And finally, step 5, and this is non-negotiable, let it rest for at least an hour before you even think about pulling it apart. That's the secret to juicy pork.
Awesome! You've got the core strategy down pat. Now, let's just cover a few quick pro tips that will take your pulled pork from being really great to being absolutely unforgettable.
Your choice of wood really does matter. Hickory gives you that classic, bold, almost bacon-like smoke flavor. Oak is a great all-purpose wood, a little more mellow. If you want something sweeter and milder, fruit woods like apple are fantastic. And cherry is a great choice too. It gives the meat a beautiful, deep reddish color. Okay, listen up. If you are cooking for a crowd, this hack will change your life. I'm not kidding. Stop spending 20 minutes shredding hot pork with 2 forks. Just drop the big, rested chunks into your stand mixer with the paddle attachment, turn it on low for about 10 seconds, and boom. Perfectly shredded pork. It is an absolute game changer.
And here's my advice. Don't sauce the pork yourself. Serve it plain and let your guests choose their own adventure. A classic, sweet, Kansas City-style sauce is always a winner. A tangy Carolina vinegar sauce is amazing for cutting through that rich pork. A sharp mustard-based sauce is a regional classic. And that creamy Alabama white sauce is a totally unique and delicious surprise for most people.
And this quote really brings us to the most important point of all. You can drive yourself crazy with complex brines, injections, and fancy rubs. But at the end of the day, true barbecue mastery usually comes from stripping all that away and just focusing on a simple, repeatable, effective process. So there you have it. The stall isn't some mystical force. It's just physics. You can beat it by wrapping, or you can just power right through it with higher heat. The point is, you're no longer at the mercy of your smoker. You are in control. Now you've got the science and the strategy. Go make some incredible pulled pork.